Hello, this is Troy Wiley, and this is the second video in this series of videos that I'll be creating for each chapter of my book, The Next Copernican Revolution. So a couple days ago I posted the first video, which was the introduction. So this is for chapter 1 of my book that has the title, Our Fantastic Future, the Known and the Unknown. So the unknown is I don't know where I am right now. I'm somewhere off the side of the road in some rural part of Poland along the coast of the Baltic Sea. And so anyway, on my road trip, I just pulled off the road here, and rather than drive, I wanted to read some quotes. So the chapter 1 of my book is basically setting the tone for everything that is to follow. It's basically about reminding us that we need to keep an open mind and be prepared to reconsider everything about our world and everything that we think we know, if we really want to flip our paradigm and create a world that the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. We've got to reconsider everything, basically. And so it's about being open to new ideas and new possibilities. And so I'm going to read a couple of quotes here that I put in chapter 1 of my book that I think really speak to this. And I want you to pay attention to a word that's used in both of these quotes by two different visionaries, and that word is fantastic. And keep in mind that these quotes were written by these two people about 50 years ago, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. So the first quote is from the Arthur C. Clarke, who is a famous science fiction writer. And he said, "It is no argument against any project to say the idea is fantastic. Most of the things that have happened in the last 50 years have been fantastic." And again, he wrote this 50 years ago. So he was talking about all the things that had happened in that 50-year period of time. And so we know what change we've experienced in our current 50-year block of time. The second quote is from the futurist and social architect Jacque Fresco, and he said, "If our projection of the future seems completely impossible and utterly fantastic, there is a possibility that we may be on the right track." So again, coming back to this there's a double meaning to this word fantastic and how it's used. If you noticed, 50 years ago, the word fantastic had an almost entirely different meaning than what it does today. Back then it meant something was just unbelievable or utopian or impossible, or it was a fantasy. It was never going to happen, right? And today, fantastic basically means it's something's good or awesome or incredible. To say I'm having a fantastic day, right? That's how it's commonly used today. But interestingly, if we can talk to both of those meanings. The first meaning, when we talk about fantastic as in something that's impossible or will never happen, we need to remind ourselves that throughout history, if we've taken that position to say that something is fantastic and is impossible and never will happen, we're going to find throughout history, time and time again, that position has been proven wrong. So whether it's believing that the earth is not round, or the sun is not the center of the universe, or planes will never fly, it's fantastic, it's impossible, right? So there's that meaning of it, and then the newer meaning is also applicable right now. We have right now at our fingertips the ability to create an actual heaven on earth. I've written an essay on medium.com recently entitled From Dystopia to Utopia as Soon as Now. And literally, we've got all the technology and all the scientific knowledge and all the resources to provide for everybody on the planet to create just an incredibly beautiful world, so much better than what we've got now, where everybody's lives would be improved. And so that's not fantasy anymore. That's not fantastic. That's not impossible. It's very, very possible. So in my book, I basically just want to prepare us in this chapter to open our minds to what we're really, truly capable of, the world that we're capable of creating. So I'm not going to be laying out a laundry list of doom and gloom problems. We're all already aware of all the problems out there, and we know that things can't continue the way they are. We know we've got to make some radical changes. So I'm basically not going to be preaching to the choir, but more importantly, I'm going to talk about the nature of the changes that we need, the scope of the changes that we need, and the span of the change. And here I mean time span, right? So we don't have 100 years from now to make these major changes, or even 50 years, or even 10 years. I think that our house is on fire, and we've got to basically put aside our differences, drop everything that we're doing, pick up buckets of water, and start flipping this paradigm. And it's not only very, very possible, but it can happen very soon. So hopefully the ideas in my book will challenge your own paradigm, right? And with any luck, shift it. So we all need to be to open our hearts and minds and be willing to rethink everything that we think we know about the world, and almost come from a place of a beginner's mind, or not being certain of anything. So we're going to talk about all of that throughout this book, and challenge what we think we know. And I'm going to finish with a quote by Charles Eisenstein, who's written the book Sacred Economics. He said, "Nothing less than a miracle is needed to heal our world." And what he means there is that miracles are not impossible, but they are only possible from a new paradigm, not from our existing paradigm. So we need solutions, he says, that exceed the present bounds of the possible. Fortunately, as the old world falls apart, our knowledge of what is possible expands, and with it expands our courage and our willingness to act. So I think it's all good news. Thank you. Bye-bye.